Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And today we're going to have an amazing conversation with a topic that is right up my alley and I always love opening up more to and learning from and gridding in myself. And I gave it away. We're talking about galactic and planetary grid work, what that means, how we activate our multidimensional gifts through planetary grid work, how light language rewires the DNA for ascension. We're talking about that also, Althea. Uh, Interesting. Embracing our soul mission as a grid worker of the new earth and so much more. And I know many of y'all can relate to this. But for some of y'all who this may seem like, well, I don't know if I'm a grid worker or if I work that way and the planetary and the cosmic, I invite you to be open because there's these packets of light of information that are opening inside of us. And this might be so much more relevant than you think. And for those of you who believe it's relevant to you, there may be even something bigger that is awakening, that is opening, that is activating, especially during these times now. So it's going to be an amazing conversation with Althea Lucrezia, who is a light language channeler, galactic contact, Akashic and psychic healer, Reiki practitioner, Kundalini yoga teacher, tarot and divination astrologer, and so much more. And for me, she's just an epic human being who has her finger on the pulse of how we're expanding, and she has so much to share with us. So, with that, Althea, welcome to today's call.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to be back.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about your work as a galactic and planetary grid worker and what that's meant for you and what you're illuminating for other people in reference to it.
Yeah, sure. So I thought this topic was really relevant because it's something that I get asked so much every time. And for me, like I started understanding more of how the planet worked and the planet's grid. First of all, when I started traveling, and then when I started being explained from higher why I was physically located and had to live in certain places and why I had to travel in other places, why I was born in a certain area, why I was called to live in another area for a period of my life, and then another one, and then another one. So as we navigate and go through these topics, I'm going to explain all the different ways that on an individual level, you can actually start doing your own grid work. And it can be just as small as, in your living room or as big as anywhere you travel to the world. There's no really right or wrong. It's working on an intuitive level and in an organic way, with the planet, with the galactics, with yourself and with your own experience. So for me, it's been an incredible journey of learning and of expansion and of understanding how we are really, really so connected to our planet, to our galactic families, our higher versions of self, and how we have access to all this information. Yeah, really 24/7. It's just a matter of learning how to tune in.
What does it mean to be a grid worker?
So, being a grid worker is just really someone who, wherever they go, they bring their light. Like that's how I
Mm.
like, it's you bring your light, you light up, and then you anchor that light into whatever grid. It can be, as I said, as small as, the grid in your house or in your living room, or it can be a galactic grid or the planetary grid. There's a lot of different grids that we can work with. I actually recently held another workshop on this when I was in the States. And as I said, it's a very, very popular subject. So there's different types of grids that you can connect to. So you will have your planetary grid, which is your Earth grid. You'll have your solar system grid, which is the solar system, your galactic grid, which is your galaxy. You'll have the universal grid, which is the universe. You also will have grids that work beyond our universal laws. So those would be your multidimensional grids. Then you would have your source consciousness grid, which is, you connecting to source, which has access and includes all of the other grids. Things like your solar grid would be your sun, which would be included in your solar system grid, which would also be still connected to the planetary grid as well. well. Then you have your Akashic grid, which is external to all of these, which is, you're accessing your Akashic records. And this also operates beyond the universal laws as we know them, because it's included of everything. So these are, the grids on, like, a cosmic, on a macro, on a bigger scale. When we talk about grids within your day-to-day life in your sphere, it can be something as small as, your house, and you want to grid your house, and you want to make sure, that your house is protected, that there's no interferences, that it's upholding a certain vibrational frequency. So you would generally maybe work with the archangelics, you would call them in on either side of your house, or you can work with things like Himalayan salt and put it around your house, and using different tools, different techniques, just to help you maintain a certain vibrational frequency and make sure that it's secured. So for me, for example, like, wherever I walk, wherever I go, I literally walk with a grid that is incorporated already within my system. So when I land into a place, my energy field and system and, blueprint DNA structures anchors into the grid of wherever it is that I'm landing, and it starts already doing the work. Like, I don't actually really need to do much to act. Sometimes I need to do actual work, but sometimes me being in a place is enough to actually activate the grid work.
Mhm. I have the same experiences in the way that I'm particularly wired and intuitively tuned into certain nodal points. I've also noticed though, and this awareness came years ago, it's again, there's a lot of reverence brought to sacred sites as nodal points and grid work that can be done in particular places around the world. And they're fascinating. I actually want to get your perspective on how they relate to grids and grid work. But as I was also aware that as we attune to a greater crystalline energy within ourselves, the purification that comes through, minus the density of enculturation and the way that we've taken it on and how we're releasing it, that we become the sacred sites that so many people wish to go to and pray for and have reverence for, that as we refine, those anchor points become beacons for a planetary awakening.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we definitely expand and we start merging. And, with every place that we go to, we activate as the place activates as well. And yeah, with regards to sacred sites, for sure, there's definitely so what happens is, a lot of the times they built on like ley lines crossing, and so because of that, there's kind of like pockets of energy that open up, especially with, like, portal dates, or when there's specific planetary movements or galactic movements and things like that that are happening, and these places are attuned to like specific vibrational frequencies, and so when you get there, you kind of like feel amplified, or your dream space gets super activated. So there's this one place where I had to live close to for quite a while, and it's located in the kind of like northeastern of South Africa, and it's a place that's like 200,000 years old, and it's the Stonehenge of South Africa, and it's called Hadam's Calendar, and it looks a little bit like Stonehenge. It's these rocks that are made from this particular composition within them. Anyway, long story short, one of the times that I went there, I was just going there to sit and do some meditation and just feel the space out. And I was with a colleague of mine who had been visiting me at the time. And as we sat inside the circle, it's basically like an energetic clock, and then the stones in it create sacred geometry, and there's different shapes that it creates. It's very powerful, and then it can tell obviously the sun. Three of them are in line with Orion, then there's a masculine and feminine. There's alignment with Venus and Mars. And anyway, and as we sit and we meditate, so this is now like a 1 hour walk in the middle of rural Africa, quite green, quite lush, because it's quite high up. So I mean, it's rained, and it's not like in like a forest. It's like an open plan with like there's like beautiful horses and animals, and so we sit and we start meditating. And I think in the span of like 2 minutes, like as we're sitting down, everything goes absolutely quiet. So there's no more crickets, there's
Mm.
no more, it's nothing's moving. And our eyes are closed, and we're facing each other, me and my colleague, and we slowly open our eyes, and like we speak telepathically, and there's literally like a huge spaceship that's probably like 2 meters on over us, like completely
Wow.
covering. It's really like, yeah, it's literally like we can like see it was there in the 3D, but we could also see it. It was almost like in between the 3D and 4D. So it was there, but it wasn't like fully solid, but we could see it and we could feel it. And it was almost casting like this shadow, and her partner was there, but he was standing a little bit further away, and he also like froze. And so we sat there, we just like were breathing through it, like looking at each other, communicating telepathically, like, what's gonna happen? Like, what must we do? Like, it's not your everyday, situation. And then we actually felt intuitively, we were like, okay, isn't anything dangerous. They're not gonna hurt us. It's not something, and then after, I mean, it must have lasted maybe also like 2, 3 minutes. It felt like forever. So it was
Mm.
quite. And then the spaceship left, and then we were informed telepathically. They said no, it was literally like it's almost like a routine control check that they were, because of the frequency that we carry. So they saw us. They were like, oh, okay, and they wanted to know, what we were doing, if we were doing energy work, what was happening at the site, just to make sure that we weren't doing anything that we weren't supposed to be doing. I don't know. Probably if we weren't supposed to be there, they would have made it start rain or something like that. I don't know. But in the end, it was fine. They left, but there's definitely amazing things that can happen in these sacred sites as you go to visit them.
I love the attunement into the energy and the checking for calibration and congruence with what's being activated. Because when we do get to particular sites, a lot of people could be well intended, but they don't know what they're bringing in if they haven't healed their own space in different ways. They could feel that they're activating places. I know when I traveled to Egypt that the Egyptians and the keepers of the temples are very particular about particular processes. And a lot of Westerners get upset. Oh, the Egyptians are trying to control us. They're not letting us. But there's also an awareness of an energy that's being transferred and who's carrying what and for what purpose. And so there are these checks and balances that happen in multiple ways across cultures. And again, the transference of energetic intention and capacity to make sure that the integrity of what's there is maintained and is properly activated for the right time in which it's giving us and sharing packets of information and amplification for the awakening that's happening to us as individuals, but for the rest of the grids that are connected into those ley lines as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 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 definitely, of course.
I want to back up just a little bit and y'all, I didn't mention earlier, and I want to bring it up now. Althea is also going to share most likely a transmission on the call, and we'll get through some live Q&A as well. So prepare for some light language and transmission, which is going to be amazing as it was the last time that we were, and I'm sure. But I wanted to back up a little bit and go into grids on a basic level and how we can activate grids within our own space and home. And can you share some examples or maybe a couple of steps that people can start incorporating if they're new to this, or even if they're not, so that they can bring more awareness and more amplification of what they're igniting within their vicinity so that they can keep carrying that forward as they go to different places, perhaps?
Yeah, of course. So really just working with infinite platinum white light, even just sitting and calling in light, you call it in, you can call it in from the top through your crown into your body, and then expanding it out from your heart center, and from there having it, expand in your room, in your house, and then maybe around your house. And even just doing something as simple as that is going to activate a protective grid, or imagining maybe like a bubble of energy around the house as well. And then, I like to work a lot with ritual. It's not necessary. Like sometimes, as I said, you literally get to a place and then the grid activates and you don't have to do anything. Sometimes, and this is actually what came through very strongly as the 2024 ended with the astrological year and we moved into the astrological year of 2025. So at the end of March, moving into April, as I was shown that a lot of star seeds will actually get called to travel more this year because of the baseline vibrational frequency of the planet having arisen, and specific star seeds carry specific combination of genetic keys within their DNA that have to go to specific places around the world to activate themselves and to activate the place as well. So it
Yeah.
really can be as simple as you getting called to go to Egypt, or you feeling like you need to go to Colorado, and sometimes it can be as quick and simple as having to go to the valley 20 kilometers from you, where you, I don't know, grew up as a child, or something like that. So that's more like a bigger skill. But yeah, in your own space, like working with candles, working with the elements, working with the smoke and incense, and just using intention and understanding there's no right or wrong. It's how you feel. You are, the force that's driving this. So whatever feels natural for you to do, that's definitely a good direction to go down.
What is your experience with people that you work with as they start awakening their gifts or they start doing this planetary grid work? What do you notice awakening them as far as their multidimensional gifts?
I think, I think, yeah, I mean, people that work with me generally first, before they do anything like this, we work on opening up the channel. So making sure that they know what's coming through, their channel is clean, it's clear. So I work a lot with the body, the physical, so the detoxing, making sure the mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional all rising together, making sure that the vessel is clean and clear, because you're going to struggle to receive information if there's distortion and pollution within the vessel. So that's kind of like the first step and the first part before I train them to go into grid work or into opening up more or doing work that is, beyond themselves.
Hmm. And what gets activated from that initial training on? Again, there is an aspect of multi-dimensional seeing and relating that occurs. What has come in live in you? I know that you channel light language in all shapes. It's written, drawn, you sing it, you speak it, you sign it, and you do timeline work also, timeline clearing and activating and upgrading, I would assume as well, and channeling again these higher dimensional frequencies. What if that becomes, if not just familiar, but accessible for people as they dive more deeply into the intimacy of working with the planet in this way?
So generally, I'll first work with activating the clairs. So, working on maybe the clairaudience, the clairvoyance, and seeing what in the individual is more emphasized and what clair they actually have that's more developed. And then kind of like taking it from there. And then ideally, you want to get to a point that your channel is, embodied and present and open. And then you actually just work with clear cognizance, which is, just the knowing. And you are divinely driven by that. So then once you have the clear cognizance, then, you can really do anything. And I always say, like, I don't really do anything. I just listen, I'm a
Yeah.
very good listener and I just get told, what to do intuitively. So once you fine-tuned your ability to do that, then everything becomes a lot simpler.
Yeah, I get told a lot that people are impressed by what comes down, and I just say that I'm just really good at following instructions, um, which is basically what it comes down to. And it's a whole body. It's a somatic experience. It's an energetic experience. It's a telepathic experience. But we learn how to recognize those cues in such beautiful, refined ways.
Yeah, exactly. And I like to say that the clarity of your channel is directly proportionate to the depths to which you've met yourself. So if you're struggling with yourself, if you haven't done shadow work, if there's things that you're not facing, and there's still judgment or fear, or no self-trust or self-love, then you're going to really struggle to understand the messages because there's distortion in your system.
And how wonderful that those are beautiful initiations to let us know what's ready to be cleared, right? So it's, it all comes into balance in the perspective in which we bring it forward from, as far as the opportunities that they're providing, really serve to activate a greater expansionary potential if we're open to listening in ways that perhaps we hadn't listened before. What makes someone become aware that they might be your grid work, or is it innate in everybody?
I think, I mean, I like to always say that, we infinite beings of light, so we can really choose our path. We can choose what we want to do. We can choose what direction we want to go down. It's something that I get asked a lot when people come to me. They're like, oh, what's my soul mission? What do I need to do? And I always try to say, your guides are not just going to come through and say, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, because that's quite disempowering, and you want to be empowered and sovereign. And you can make the decision. So I think if it's something that you want and you feel called to, then it's definitely a direction that you can walk down. And then it's really about finding your unique personal way. So for me, I work in a way that I'll channel light through my system, through my energy field, and then even when I'm working on system on people, it will go through me and then go onto the individuals, and at the same time I'll be working with their teams as well. But I very much use my physical body and my vessel. I have colleagues who work outside, so they'll bring in the energy, maybe like take it out from the heart center and then create like an energy field or something outside, and then anchor that into the earth. So it's really about finding your own way and how your system works best.
I really appreciate the way that you describe that. For me, it's an opportunity to have a more intimate relationship with Gaia, and to really connect. And if you think about any place where we feel like we want to learn a little bit more, we want our connection to Earth, for example, to be more pronounced. It's about unity consciousness as well. And what are we choosing to put our attention to unify back into that divinity and that crystalline consciousness that we're all wired for? It's just a question of waking it up again, clearing the field so that we can be in such a state to receive the high frequency state of the light that's come through, and that our body and emotional body and mind can hang with what's being transmitted, because you don't get there from being completely asleep to being completely awakened. And there's steps in the way, or else we would fry our systems by what's being amplified through these different places that are providing so much wattage to facilitate awakenings in different ways.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I find always like if you're meant to be in a place, you're going to be guided to get there. And if you want to go somewhere and you're not meant to be there, like you're not going to get there.
I
So
get
it's
there.
all
Yeah.
divinely flowing. Yeah.
Oh, I know that really well. I want to get into what's happening in the planets right now, and some of these portals that we're in just a second. And of course, we're going to get into live Q&A. Althea has an amazing package that we're going to get into also, and there will be a transmission a little bit later on the call as well. But before we get into all of that, how does light language and the way that you're channeling in um, emphasize this grid work, and also help us to assimilate what's being rewired within us physically?
Yeah, I mean, I think the light language, because it's so multidimensional and operates on so many other levels and layers, is a very powerful tool to use for activating, even for just even prepping your own field, or, actually having the codes come out, embed into the earth, embed into the structures. I had this beautiful, it was very interesting. I had this beautiful live with a colleague of mine recently where we both channel light language, but so completely different. So like the way I channel and how my light language is, it's quite like It's very geometric and it's quite like getting to the point. It'll get in, do what it needs to do, clear, release. It's very geometric, it's very structured, it clears the templates, it clears the timeline. And hers is more like, expansive and goes in from the heart and then expands and then operates on these other levels. So it's always very interesting to see. And I think, again, the light language is such a beautiful tool. For me, it is the new technology that's coming in to assist and to help. And you are the master co-creator being, and as it moves through you, you can direct it and use it in whatever way you think it's best, and as because we are all connected, as it's working on you, it's working on others, and it's working on the planet, and it's working on, whatever intention you've set for it to work on. But also at the same time, it can really just be doing the work regardless, like you can be
Mm.
channeling and you can be saying, I'm going to pull through light language to clear and assist this person, and you're working on them. And at the same time, it's also going to activate something in the grid that's going to help
Yeah.
everyone else.
I got the chills when you're talking about that. That's so true. What's your awareness of where the light language that you bring in originates from?
So I mainly work with two higher versions of myself. One's a Pleiadian version and one's a Mantis version. So I'll generally channel from, higher versions of myself that are quite anchored within those templates and, spectrums of vibrational frequency. But I channel really like, I mean, I'll channel Arcturian technology a lot. I'll channel Lyran technology as well. So it really depends kind of like who I have in front of me, if I'm doing a one-on-one session, or, collectively what type of work I have to do and on what platform I'm on.
That's beautiful. And I really appreciate that you brought in the aspect of setting a field for and I'm paraphrasing in different ways. But setting a field for the intention of what you're wishing to have a relationship with so that when the channel comes through, you're aware of a quality of transmission and the intention of that transmission to make sure that it's really serving in the way that you're agreeable to.
Yeah, and I think that's where the work comes in the clarity of the channel and the depths of meeting yourself. Because what I've
Mhm.
seen happen is sometimes energy workers, they are actually bypassing the heart and only channeling from here. And that's when you can get some distortion. Whenever you're channeling, it all needs to go through here because this can play tricks on you. This is not going to. This is where, is where the purity is. So, yeah, so just being mindful of that and understanding that, the system works as a unit, but everything, all the machine needs to work, everything needs to be, in a certain space and alignment, in order for it to work through. And yeah, I find that setting the intention is very big, of course, because it helps with clarity. It helps with knowing, oh, okay, like, today I want to bring through this type of code. And sometimes it works, and sometimes your guides and your higher version of selves is like, no, today something else is coming through, and then you're like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
so it's really just it's a very big also a lesson in trusting and surrendering when you're into this line of work.
Absolutely. You speaking of the mind, heart, intention, and connection reminded me of a download as I was deep in wanting to understand the relationship and the possibilities between the mind and the heart and how we're utilizing as human as a technology to really amplify more benevolence and light onto the planet. And my guides came in really clearly, and this quote has never left me. It's a question asked of the mind always seeks to manipulate, if it's
Uh,
well intended or not. And the question asked of the heart always seeks enlightenment. And just
yeah,
that
that's
understanding right
beautiful.
there was the clarity that was needed. And
Yeah.
so to understand how each one of those works and then to use them to use the tools in an enhanced way so that we really know how to direct our questions and our intentions and align, again, really brings in the fabric of the unity consciousness that's arising through us, that's opening to these potentials that we can have a relationship with so that we can anchor in these grid lines, we can activate these portals, and we can awaken and rewire. our DNA in the way that we're ready to during this time in our age in humanity.
Mm.
So
Yeah, totally. And just to add on that as well, I always say, if you need to make a decision and you're struggling, and you don't know what direction to go, your mind can play tricks on you. The body, the somatic response will always be truthful. So how does it feel in you? Does it feel warm and good in your heart? Then it's probably a yes. Or, does your stomach feel knotted? Do you feel nauseated? Does it feel strange? Then that's more like of a no. So if you're struggling, like moving forward and whatever decision, whatever it is that you need to clarity on, like ask the body. The body will not lie to you. The mind can play tricks, but the body will be truthful.
what are some questions that you would ask the body for that clarity?
So for me, like for example, like when I'm channeling or asking questions, I will get, if it's a yes, I'll get goosebumps on my right side. If it's a no, they'll be on my left. So that's just like one way that my guides sometimes will come through and speak to me, if I'm asking a question, or like if I'm speaking to someone and they're saying something and all of a sudden I get like goosebumps everywhere, it's generally a sign that that is, like that's like a powerful thing that they're saying or something very truthful. I think there's someone I read somewhere that there is a scientific explanation behind the goosebumps, and they say that it's the DNA recrystallizing in the structure. I'm not
Oh,
sure, but I know that for me, that's quite a big one that I go on that definitely
uh,
works every time.
amazing. I love that. And something really simple, y'all. If you're not used to tuning in your body, if you want more practices, it's really simple. Go to the refrigerator. If you're going to pick up something, ask your body, is this good for me right now? And see what your body says. If you're going to pick up a phone call, should not pick up this phone call? And if you get a yes and you pick up, it's great news, awesome. Or if it's news you need to hear, or if it's a telemarketer and you wish you would have picked up, should have I listened to my body or not? And just those little kind of activations and training really starts building a relationship with a yes no response to the body that can just blow up in the most positive way because you begin to tuning and listening in ways that become more refined. Um, so again, very powerful. And listening to the body as the consciousness and guide is it's huge during these times. Althea, I want to get to your special offer in a little bit because you're going to go into some deep training with grid work and light language and some processes. But before we get into that, and before we get into live Q&A, which by the way, y'all raise your hand if you want to ask live questions, type your questions into the chat box. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I want to talk about the alignments that are taking place right now. Again, we've just had this big solstice happen, an eclipse portal, Mercury retrograde just finally like released yesterday. We were having a discussion about our personal experience with that before the call went live. And I'd love it if you can share what you're noticing in the waves that we've been riding and what's opening up and how what you would recommend for people as far as any personal development work that they're doing, any connection to the grid, any connection to guides that may help them to facilitate and to create in this next stage of expansion.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, definitely a lot of karmic releasing. So,
Mm.
like, I find that it happens in small things, sometimes a little bit bigger, but whether it's like a cold, or maybe, you stub your toe, or you twist your ankle, or it's just like little physical things that are, and when these things happen, it's actually a positive thing because it means that you're clearing more quickly on a karmic level. The astral space has been incredibly active. So if you are having the craziest and most apocalyptic timeline dreams, like it's really okay. Like it's it's kind of what could be happening energetically. So for me, I found yeah, so there was the equinox energy, and then we went into the 4/4 portal, which was last Friday. And then I personally started shifting and recalibrating a lot. And then, as you were saying, as Mercury went direct again, it's almost like there was this big release, and everything kind of like realigned and was reushered back into place. And I had like the most creative and productive day that I had had in a while.
Mm.
as soon as Mercury went direct. So I thought that was quite interesting. So I think, yeah, focusing on harnessing productivity and creativity in the next few weeks would definitely be a big one, and one that you can work with within your energy field. There'll still be ascension symptoms. I still find that April is quite a recalibration month, and then when we move into May, things are a lot more solidified, so there might still be some tail end residual energy from the astrological year with 2024, even though we are anchoring more into kind of like 2025 now.
Yeah, and you also mentioned, and it struck as true for me also, that we really are just beginning this year. That
Yeah.
2025 is really just starting to take off. And so if y'all felt like we were drudging, it's like, wow, 2025 is going by and nothing's quite happened yet. It didn't really start. It's
Yeah,
like we're
it's
finally
only
getting into the
starting.
forward momentum.
Yeah, with the Aries. So the new astrological year start with the Aries. So, end of March, early April. That's kind of like when the new year starts. And January and February is still a recalibration of the old year. So we really are only solidifying and moving into 2025 right now. Yeah.
Amazing. So much is going on. Yes, the smoke was just on the right side.
Yeah, I have an incense on.
Amazing. Amazing. It's coming through. We're going to get into the special offer in a second, but I think, Laura, I think I want to take your question first. Let's go to you. And again, we're going to get into transmission in a little bit, y'all. So you're definitely going to want to hang out for the light language that's coming through. But Laura, what's your question? Well, welcome.
Thanks, John and Althea. It's so nice to meet you. I love your name. Really good Grateful Dead song if you haven't heard it before. My question is, the smoke. It's incense. I saw it on the side. It looked like I thought it was a spirit or something. The first time I
Incense.
saw it.
It might be both. It might be
Yes,
both.
it might be both. That's why I got so excited. Okay, so my question is, you had said that it's hard for you to receive information if your body is full of distortion and disease. And I currently am taking pain meds for chronic pain, and other medications to go along with it. And I'm trying to connect with guides, to learn light language. I'm in therapy. I'm doing shadow work. Will I be able to connect? And am I wasting my time because I'm on all these medications, basically? Do I have to stop medications in order to be able to connect?
So I'm not a doctor and I'm not qualified to give medical advice, but
Right.
from an energetic perspective, when there is external substances, it can affect the clarity of the channel. So it's not that you won't get there. You might still be able to. It'll just take you longer, and it's going to be like a harder process. So it's kind of like imagining that you're cleaning your window, and you're cleaning it, but at the same time you're throwing a bit of dirt at it. So you keep cleaning it, but there's still a bit of dirt that keeps on coming. Every time you clean it, then a little bit more dirt comes in. You know what I mean? So I mean, again, I don't know how many things you're on, and how often you take them, but it definitely does affect, but it doesn't mean that you won't be able to. It'll just take longer and it might be a slower process. My advice from an energetic perspective would also be, I would be very mindful of working on anyone else if you are taking
Yeah.
things within your system. So my advice would be to try and come to a space where you're mostly clear. And if it's like one thing every now and then that you're taking that's really helping you, then that's okay, But if it's a lot of different external substances, because the way that that works from energetic perspective, it's a disempowering attachment that you have, because it's almost like saying, oh, I can't be okay without this external attachment that's into my field. And so that plays into a space of not being empowered, which moves away from the integrity of the channel and all of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, and I would also say again, there's miracles in Western medicine as well that allow you to connect to your body and to ground in ways that are necessary for your particular evolution also. So it's really about balancing and listening to the soul. and always making sure that you're getting responsible advice from those who know your circumstance specifically so that you can follow what's best for you. We all have a soul blueprint and we're experiencing different things for different reasons. It's how can we activate into the higher timeline of what's presenting and then what is going to present itself because you're in alignment with your consciousness as best you can be to facilitate a solution that is very particular to the way that you're wired for this particular lifetime. So because you can't channel the Pleiadians doesn't mean that you're not anchoring into Earth because something is allowing you to stay in that particular space. And it's facilitating it because of the way that your body is responding to the chemicals and needed the support in order to maintain here. So again, we're never looking at something like this. We want to look at the whole picture and really go deeper into purpose, activation, limiting beliefs. How can we support the body in the way that the body maybe hasn't been supported for a long time? And then how do we titrate so that we can bring in the most beneficial, heightened answer that's going to really provide a catalyst for your highest potential? And so again, when we get into chemical components of the brain and the body, it becomes sensitive. But let's start not with the limitation, but where's the gift? And where's this gift allowing me to anchor in into a way that's going to show me the next best natural step for me? So I wanted to bring in with that possibility for you, Laura.
Thank you, John. I
Yeah, you're
appreciate
very
it.
welcome.
Thank you so much,
Blessings to you.
Althea. Blessings.
Yeah.
Michelle, welcome to the call. It's good to see you.
Hi, John. It's good to see you too. You were my gateway drug to awakening a few years ago.
Love
Thank
it.
you. Althea, I've got a question for you. So when I saw that you were of Mantis galactic origin, I was told I was the same, but I had never met another Mantis person. So I thought I have to come on and say hello, but I also was really attracted to the light language because since I was connected with BTO and really enjoying John's work, my granddaughter, my little granddaughter, started telling me that she was learning a special language, and her name is Ella, and she has finished her courses now with her guide, and she's only 8. And I'm not sure how. I live in an area of Canada where this is unheard of, where people don't talk about this, and I had understood it from retreats and that kind of thing. But for me to be able to help her with this and to understand it, I'd love to ask you about how I can best help her and support her.
So first of all, as you started speaking about her, my whole body started activating and I started goosebumps everywhere. So that's always a good sign. Yeah, I think give her space to be creative. So give her pen, paper, pencil, give her space to express. And the more she will flow through it, the more she expresses it, the more it moves through her, the more she will be familiar with it, and the more she will develop it. It's like everything else, it's practice, it's like a sport, the more you play it, the better you get at it. It's the same with channeling, connecting to your guides and higher versions of self. So my advice would be to, yeah, talk to her. Like I've got a daughter, she's almost 5. She's going to be 5 in August, and I speak light language to her. And it's so funny. They know so much. Like since when she was like 1 or 2 years old, like since she was born, actually, I've been channeling. And sometimes if she doesn't want to, she'll literally just put her little hand on my mouth and be like, no, mommy, not now. And sometimes she will be open and respond in light language as well. And sometimes she will draw in her own time, little codes here and there. So I think just allowing her the space to express and making sure that she feels that it's safe, and yeah, and like, using it as a game and as a special connection between the two of you.
That's
That
beautiful.
sounds
Play,
good.
play, and play. I have a suggestion also, and this applies to all of us. And Althea, I know you'll expand on this, and I know part of the special offer and the work that you do is all about this. But Michelle, the more that you embrace that aspect of yourself, the more that she'll embrace it within herself. the more that you're willing to be out and open and play with her and others in it and just sees it as your normal rather than this thing that has to be closeted or not well known or kind of strange, it opens up her gifts. There was a study that was done with elementary school kids a long time ago, and they ran this for about 10 years across multiple elementary schools. And I forgot who ran the test, but they'd ask kindergarten kids, how many of you are artists and magicians and musicians and singers? And almost all the kids raised their hands. In first grade, they'd ask the question, and a little bit less, but still almost. By fifth grade, they only had one or two kids that would raise their hands. And so, how do we entrain these gifts back into a system that is denying this from us and reactivate it? We have to become it. And we get to allow our children in that way to be teachers for us rather than think that we're teaching them also.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've definitely learned so much as a parent. And I
Mm.
think this is where we come into play. I mean, I know for my generation, I'm in my 30s. It's very different because I had a beautiful upbringing, but it was more like, okay, the parents are right. You're the child. Like, if the parent says something, that's the correct. Meanwhile, I'm actually like, oh, like I question myself because this like tiny being is showing me things and perspective and ways that are expanding my brain and I'm learning so much. So I think, yeah, like understanding that we learn as much from them as much as they are learning, to be human from us from when they come here, because a lot of the kids that are coming in now, are coming from quite far away.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Right.
yeah. Michelle, it's good to
Awesome.
see you. Thank you for the question
Thank
and
you so much.
blessing with your family. Yeah. Amazing.
Thank you.
Hey, y'all, we're going to get into more Q&A in a little bit. And of course, we're going to get into the transmission and receive the gift from Althea. And I'm not sure who's coming, Mantis or Pleiadians, or we don't know yet. We'll find out soon enough. But before we do any of that, I want to make sure that we have time for the special offer. It's really quite special. It's galactic and planetary grid work that Althea is bringing to us. And I'd love for y'all to follow along. The link is on the live page or on the replay page. You'll see the special offer button. Click on that. If you're listening to the replay on YouTube, open up a new browser and go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. You'll find Athea's picture on there, and you'll find the special offer button there as well. And you'll be able to read through that as perhaps this is lighting up goosebumps and activating those DNA crystalline within you. But Althea, will you give us a few minutes and let us know what everybody's going to receive by participating?
Yeah, sure. I will go a lot deeper in, the galactic grid work, and I will also be working on explaining how, more you can open up your channel, how you can find your own individual ways to work with the grids, with the planet. And yeah, I'll speak about a few different sites. I'll speak about my experience and how, I started doing more and more of this, how I work now intuitively. So yeah, definitely. I will also have a little bit of time for Q&A there, and I will do a light language transmission there too.
Amazing. Oh, when's this? This is a live workshop?
Yeah, it's going to be the 8th of May.
8th of May, y'all. So it's on there. You include on here understanding the different grids that are present. You talk about sacred geometry and sites around the world. Althea gets more into gridding your space and energy for personal and planetary healing. There's a 12-dimensional shielding, which I love that you're bringing that in. It's so powerful and so needed. And other energetic protection techniques. There's a Merkaba and 13 chakra activation to support ascension and multi-dimensional alignments. Y'all, this is like full on amazing. And anchoring into new Earth grid construct and restoring organic timelines. And there's techniques and tools for learning how to do your own grid work. And there's so much more in this that's included. Y'all can read through the page. There's special energetic activations. They're included in the workshop as well. And Althea, tell us a little bit more about these 3 light codes. What are they?
Yeah, so basically the codes will work on your own individual system. So how as the codes work and expand, they basically start attuning to your energy field. You can work within a few minutes in the morning. And then you literally just clear your mind and look at them. And because they work beyond constraints of space and time, it's almost like they become a portal and it's fine-tuned to your own system and energy field. So the way they work on each individual will be different, but they can be used from everyone in the same way. Sometimes what I do with codes as well, I like to either have them like on my screensaver on my phone or print them out and have them somewhere that I always see them so that, my mind starts working with them. And the codes will evolve with you. So they're applicable for now for the workshop, but if you want to keep on using them in your own experience moving forward, you can also do that as well because they're so multidimensional that they literally like will evolve with your energy field.
So these codes don't have one particular intention necessarily, but they're really designed to meet someone where they are to keep activating and amplifying.
Exactly.
Can the codes take someone through ascension symptoms where they have to like go back in and get a little more rest and maybe eat a little more right or take some maybe slow down a little bit sometimes? Or does it just depend on the person?
Oh yeah, they can definitely, I mean, they can definitely like I've had people work with a code and like after working with it, having to like maybe sit down and be like, or getting like instant downloads as they were looking at it, or putting it like, in their bedroom because before they couldn't sleep and all of a sudden like their sleep has become a lot better. So they really, really are multi-purpose and multifaceted.
This is awesome. Y'all, the special offer for BTO is $120 with a two payment option. And I was curious when I saw the special offer and the codes, I had to go to Althea's website. It's like, all right, what else is she offering? What's out there? And what stood out for me is how accessible this price point is to work with Althea in this way in a live workshop and to receive these codes compared to the other price points of access with Althea. With what she's offering on her site. So this is really quite a special price and an amazing opportunity, and to hold this intelligence and to be able to translate it and transfer the codes, if you will, and activate the DNA and that light body within one another. It's what a beautiful group to do it with because the attention already feels so high vibrational. So again, it's an amazing offer. I hope you all take advantage of it. Again, the link for it is in the chat box. You can see it there on the special offer page or on the live page, on the replay page, and again, in the marketplace at beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. Amazing offer out there. Thank you for putting that together. And with that, I'm curious, do you want to go into more Q&A or should we get into the transmission? Where are you guided?
I don't mind. I just wanted to answer that someone's asked what time it is. It's going to be at 12, no, I think 12 or 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, but the recording will be available with a ticket purchase. So if you can't make the full time or you can't make the beginning of it, then you will get a recorded version of it. So for those of you who still want to have access to it, yeah. I'm happy to take maybe one or two more questions. I think someone I had seen one in the comments. Someone was asking me about, yeah, my diet and physical detoxes. If that's something that people are interested in knowing, I'm happy to
Yeah,
answer.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's quite a big one that I get a lot. So, I follow a very intuitive diet. I don't consume any meat, fish, so I don't really eat anything. I like to say I don't eat anything that had a face. That's how I like to say it. But I don't have any judgment towards people who choose to consume animal products. It's just not for me, just for the karmic implications of it. I don't really when you're eating something like that, you need to work on clearing the karma and and you're taking on the animal and all of that. But I have really powerful colleagues and energy workers who eat organic and very happy. So I find that when you eat, like, because of the level of density of the consciousness of the being, so a cow's soul is a lot more energetically developed than a plant. So the
Mm.
karmic clearing that you need to do on that level within your system is a lot more. And so I find that that can actually slow your system down. That's what happened. That's how I see it. If I'm eating, vegetables and fruit, and I'll still eat dairy here and there. I'll just make sure that it comes from like ethical sources. And I will also still eat eggs that are, from very happy chickens that are roaming free. And I'm sure that they come from a space, that is good. I don't drink alcohol. I will drink coffee maybe 3 times a year. I'll have green tea here and there. So I'm quite like healthy and clean, and then I follow quite a structured exercise routine. I mix a lot of different things. I'll do like cardio, weight training. I am a qualified yoga teacher. When it comes to detoxes, I don't per se do like big detoxes because I don't need to because I'm generally like following like a very healthy lifestyle. However, I will do intermittent fasting, and twice a year I'll do like a 3-day fast, water fast. So I'll still drink water. But like for example, this week I've been doing intermittent fasting. I'll be doing like maybe 20 hours, and then I'll eat like in the late afternoon and in the evening, and then maybe I'll do that for like a week. And then sometimes I'll maybe do a week where I'm doing intermittent fasting, but it's a little bit less extreme. So I'll eat maybe at like 2 o'clock, and then again in the evening. And I find that works nicely. When I'm doing a lot of energy work, I try to like not eat a lot just because I find that sometimes it can make me a little bit lethargic and like I just need my energy to clear. So if I've got a day with 12 clients, like I'm gonna maybe eat like a smoothie or have something, that's easier, like juices, and maybe I'll have like if I want something solid, I'll have like some crackers or a little bit of cheese, but I won't have like a big meal. I'll only have like a bigger meal in the evening.
Mm.
And then yeah, I'm quite mindful also with products with my skin. I try to buy organic, support local. I mean, there's a lot out there, so you can't really like it's difficult to avoid things and everything. But yeah, again, I'll feel divinely guided if there is something that I need, for my system.
And you've become attuned to listening to your body and its intelligence. I run a very clean diet most of the time also, but sometimes I go through periods where I need to consume sugar because something's activating in my crystalline structure. There's times where I need to be more in the salt phase and it's coming through. There's times when I've gone vegan and gone vegetarian, but then my iron levels get low and support needs to come in. And so there's, again, the attunement and the listening to our bodies and the why we want to access high states of being also become very important. Intention should really be the foundation of everything rather than just a regimen to try to get something. And when we follow the consciousness of that and then follow others who are leading the type of lifestyle that we would want to follow, that are examples for us, then I find that that's really a beautiful path to go on. Um, so yeah, I love that you shared that. Thank you for that. There's a question that came in from Linda, and I want to take Crystal's call later also because we have Crystal on live, and then we'll get into the transmission. But Linda's asking if grid work also includes clearing battles from areas of conflict and restoring Earth to harmony.
Yeah, for sure. I had a very big clearing back in 2022 that's connected and relevant to this question. So I didn't know why, but I was told to go to Mozambique, which is about 2 hours, where I used to live at the time. It was a 3 to 4 hour drive. And there was this event happening on this beach, and when I got there, I was actually shown that there was a mermaid massacre where about 500 mermaids were killed
Wow.
in a different timeline, and I was one of them, and so was this friend of mine who had come with me, and I had to do some grid work there to clear this whole beach, and I had to work with some candles. I had to channel, I had to sit, I had to call in, and that was also like a very big experience that I did in clearing the land. So for sure, definitely, that's really work that needs to be done. And if you get called and if you get to a place where there's been some kind of, even if it's like a more earthly battle that happened more recently, there was this other venue that I had been on that I didn't know, and every time I went there, I would feel so sick, so sick, so sick. And then I was told that there had been a civil war that happened there many,
Mm.
many years and a lot of people had died, and so that was what I was picking up. So that's definitely something, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. When I was in France, very specifically, the whole Qatar massacres and all that, I felt it so strongly in the different areas that I was in. And there was definitely grid work that was happening there, but it took a toll on my body and emotional. I wanted to get out of this quickly as I could, but at the same time, I knew I was supposed to be there for this. So again, understanding some of the protocols, the energies, the things that we can put, the structures we can put into place to amplify ourselves so that we don't get diminished and taken over and influenced by something that just wouldn't benefit us, is really important. So if you are called to any of that, really tune into someone that can help guide you if it's your first time or kind of new at it, or that you go in with a guide who can teach you just how to show up in the highest version of you so that you can amplify really what you are wishing to imprint on those particular ley lines. So beautiful. Um, Crystal, let's go to you now. Welcome to the call.
Hi, John. Thank you. That's just such a beautiful transition into my question too, because
Mhm.
Althea, you were talking about being called to Mozambique and all these places that you've been called to. And personally, I've felt several times in my life, I've been called to a very specific site that I don't even know if it is a sacred site, in Nan Madol in Micronesia. And it's so bizarre. There's no reason intellectually or personally I would want to be there, but it's just kind of keeps cropping up since I was a teenager. And so I was just curious if you can give any insight into, how you can tell um, when you're being called to a sacred site, if it's a sacred site, or just kind of tuning in and asking those right types of questions. And just from your personal experience, like your example with Mozambique, like kind of how you know when you're feeling that calling and why it's appropriate, why you kind of feel you need to go there.
It does go back into, the clarity of your channel and, the depths to which you've met yourself. So, knowing yourself. I think so, like for me, as what you say, like I have a very deep calling to Tibet. I haven't been there yet. I've been in the Himalayas, but I haven't been to actual Tibet. And then I was told that I had a lot of previous lifetimes there. So what I've learned in these cases is that it doesn't really matter because once you're there, you're going to get the clarity. It's more our human brain wants to understand and be like, okay, why is it here? What is going to happen there? Why is it this specific? How is it going to assist me? But it's really sometimes just actually taking a leap of faith and trusting and surrendering. And sometimes you don't get the clarity that you want, but that's okay. The work is still happening. You're still moving forward. You're still navigating it. So every individual is different. Every situation is different. But like I didn't know when I went to, like I just kind of trusted. So I think, yeah, if you feel called to go there, I would think that it would bring more clarity once you are actually there at the place. Yeah.
Hmm. Beautiful. Great question, Crystal. I can share with you my experience in going places. I don't know why I need to go, but I know I need to go. And it's just the pull. And I can't tell you how many times I've left Kauai only to be brought back. And it's definitely a pull from the land. It's like it's just such a deep awareness when you're tied in that way. And like Althea said earlier, there's a big aspect of surrendering into that really comes in and trusting. Um, and when we do that, we find that the synchronicities and the guidance that supports our journeys there are just beyond any magic that we can try to create on our own, and the experiences. So it's quite profound. Um, I want to get into the transmission before we start the transmission, y'all, and get into it. Um, a couple of things. First, I want to give props for Althea. It's 3 o'clock in the morning where she is. And so she showed up today for us for this call, and she's giving from her heart and generosity. And thank you so much for the when you show up and you're just here to share and then empower people. So epic. And of course, a special offer, y'all, to go deeper with Althea and this really special live offer and to get the codes and to really amplify this multi-dimensional capacity that can be awakened within you. even just by having a deeper relationship to Earth or deeper relationship into the planetary grid work, something awakens in that, and it could just unfold a new pathway uh, for you that may excite you in ways that perhaps you didn't expect. But it's going to be a powerful course, powerful light codes, a powerful teacher. I hope you all take advantage of it. Again, the link's in the chat box. You can click on the special offer button in the live page or in the replay if you're listening to the replay. Welcome, by the way. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, by going to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. Althea, what do we need to do to prepare for your transmission? Guide us, please.
Yeah, sure. So you can just close your eyes and start anchoring into your body. As you find your comfortable breathing rhythm, with every inhale, you breathe in light. And with every exhale, you release all that doesn't serve you anymore. And as you relax the body system and energy field, you stay in a space of openness and oneness. And as we call on the Archangelic Collective, Michael to the south, Uriel to the north, Raphael to the east, and Gabriel to the west, we call on Archangel Metatron with his blue cloak of protection from above, and Sanaphon to seal the grid from below. As we call on our higher selves, our spirit guides, and anyone else who wishes to be present for the greatest and highest good, you're welcome in the space. Shukrokoa Ishinayata. Shukroa tre tre okorokoa Ishinayata. Opening systems. Opening. Rat creo corocotka Ishinayatra. Triatic ora ese yatikorokoa Ishinayatra. Triatic oro Ishirayatra. Tre corocona Ishirayatra. Tre adquiero co le co la lia re ro 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 ro. Opening systems, opening, attuning, rat quiero kumra ishirayatra, treti ora ishiratiet ora ishirayatra, expanding, clean, releasing, letting go, clean, releasing, letting go. Letting go, opening, 2 more light, divine rays, anchoring into systems, upgrading blueprint structures, expanding, more light, creo sot cora ishenayatra, tiatarekt cro at kia set corayat ra net rat creu corayat re corayat nayat kra shkroaya ishieta reat cre at kiero coma isianaratra treatarekt cre at kia re ro raya re rat crea siet coro ishenayatra releasing, letting go, expanding into more light, divine rays, anchoring, attuning, expanding, niatoko, rat, crea, sietokora, ishera, yatra, trana, rea, tre, tra, releasing, more light coming in, anchoring. Ratia se ya te koroko aishenayatra. Trat creo to koroko aishenayatra creat creat reokoro ishayaratre aishiataka. Shukrokoani aisheta krat creo sorokora ishenara grounding, anchoring, anchoring, aligning, attuning, structures, aligning, attuning, attuning, balancing, na nishate trokoko ishiane, naraya tract, crea sesia, Proko ania ishiataka. Triatre kokoro at kiero koko karatre isea ishenayatra triatra aligning, aligning more light, anchoring, 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 Shiatarat crea sieto koania tre 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 yo na yaishira takra krik or kona ishira yatra krukuro clean pray for releasing clean releasing grounding anchoring closing ceiling closing ceiling closing ceiling closing ceiling closing ceiling grounding yokiatara kraya treo koroko krai shetaka takra kre krokoroko ishinaya tre traya tre korokoro ishinaya tra taraya ishe korokora ishinaya tra kroko ishinaya tra krokora ishinaya tra tre koroko ishinaya tra Shukroa ishiana yashino korokora ishina yatra tre korokora ishina yatra. Ishina yatra tre akiero korokora ishina yatra. As you gently can ground back into the body. And ground back into your physical vessel. You can either choose to stay in process for a little bit longer and allow for the energies to settle within you, or you can come back to the now, the present moment. The healing will carry on clearing within you for a while. You might feel things release. You might feel a bit more emotional. You might get a bit tired more easily. You might feel like you need to eat more or sleep more. So this was like, yeah, a bit of like a quick system tune-up. In my offer, I will be channeling more, so it will be a longer transmission where I'll go deeper. But yeah, how was it for you, John?
It's beautiful. Oh my God, there was a lot of information coming through in different ways. That was powerful. Where were you channeling that from? Who was guiding that?
So it's generally a higher version of myself that I work with. This had
Beautiful.
quite a bit of Arcturian technology that came in. So when it's kind of like more like harsh cut sounds, it's generally Arcturian technology. So that was quite interesting. But there was my Palladian imprinting that came through as well.
Oh my God, epic. Thank you so much for doing that and for offering it. Y'all, the special offer, you can go deeper into that and so much more with Althea. Again, the link's in the chat box. You'll find the link on the replay page and the special offer page, and of course on the website. Althea, thank you so much for your time today, for getting up for us and to initiate so much power in this transmission, even with the little sleep. It's wonderful to have you here. And yeah, looking forward to our audience receiving more deeply from you as they go deeper.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, such an honor. Everybody, thank you for being on the call. Come back and listen to the replay. The replay link will be up a little bit later. And I look forward to seeing y'all on the next BTO call. Love and blessings to you guys.